jammed today, so we've got about 20 minutes. So let's
Okay,
make the
let's do it. Cool. So last time we had talked, I don't know if you remember, but you were gearing up to run for president. What's the status of your presidential run right now?
Well, it's still active. I'm actually running for both president and vice president on the Libertarian Party, and I just joined forces with Adam Kokesh, who is running for president. And we are endorsing each other's platform. And if he wins presidency, I'll be his vice president, and if I win it, he'll be mine. Um, so it's sort of a winning team.
There you go. I wanted to talk to you about the coronavirus,
Okay.
big pandemic scare that's going on right now. I know you're a political thinker. So what do you see is going on with this huge lockdown around the world? You buying this?
Of course not. I mean, listen, I'm a mathematician. I can add and subtract. Um, the mainstream media is using words like horror, staggering deaths. Let's look at numbers then. The World Health Organization says there's about 130,000 deaths in the 5 months it's been hanging around. And that sounds horrific, doesn't it? But let's keep in mind that medical science doesn't measure the pandemic in terms of gross numbers. It's in terms of deaths per 100,000, like the flu. Flu kills 12 out of every 100,000 people every year. How many people do you think the coronavirus has killed per 100,000 this past 5 months?
I couldn't tell you. Maybe eight?
Two.
Two.
Okay. Two. Now, with numbers like that, we're locking down the world. Please, do you see the insanity? Now, let's look at the few countries that have sane leadership, like Sweden, that refuse to lock down. They're out partying and going to coffee shops and hanging out together. In this entire time, it's had 1,000 deaths out of 10,000 people. That's 1 in 10,000. Now, that's higher than the world average, but not because of the lockdowns, because Sweden is so far north that the flu is 3 times as prevalent in Sweden as it is in the rest of the world. Well, the flu is a cold. Remember, warm weather, flu disappears. Cold weather, flu comes back. So, but they refuse to lock down, and even at their 1,000 deaths, that's only 1 in 10,000 population in Sweden. Of course, they're not going to lock down the country. But yet, what the U.S. is locking down, there are only 3 countries where the death rate is significant: Italy, Spain, and America. What do they have in common? Well, they didn't have anything in common. Well, the U.S. didn't have anything in common with the 2 of them until 10 days ago, when the CDC put out new guidelines saying, listen, if somebody dies and you find out they're infected, then put down that they died from the infection. Do you realize the absurdity of that? We don't do that with any other disease. So when that happened, the next day, notice there was a huge spike in deaths, and it's been bad ever since. Because
Sorry.
pardon?
I just wanted to ask you, because I mean you're a computer science guy, so you'll understand this analogy. It seems like the way governments are dealing with this is like a brute force solution to a problem, and it's not optimized at all. They're just saying everybody stays inside. I mean, do you think this is just some people are saying this is a power grab? What do you think
Of
about
course
that?
it is. First of all, what's the problem? Seriously, what's the problem? I mean, listen, if we're shutting down because of COVID-19, then why the fuck don't we shut down because of the flu, which is 6 times more deadly? Do you understand? 630,000 people died from the flu in the same period of time, and only 100,000 or a little more from COVID-19. There is no problem. We're not solving a problem. We're creating a nightmare. And it is a power grab using fear. The mainstream media is using all these horrific terms. Oh, it's a horror. Look at the staggering. No, staggering? What the fuck? How many people do you think die from diarrhea every year? Give it a guess. Just a
Probably,
guess.
diarrhea. That's a killer. Like maybe 1 million around the world.
2.5 million.
Two and a
All
half
right.
million. Okay.
Do you realize where does COVID stack up to that? It is 1/25th of the problem. And yet we're locking, please, can we use our common fucking sense? We don't have a problem, my friend. And everyone listening, there is no problem with this disease. The problem is with the insanities of our government. Locking down, what does that do?
Yeah,
Well, it doesn't seem to do much because Sweden has not locked down and they have zero problem, even though Donald Trump goes, oh my God, Sweden is suffering badly. 1,000 deaths out of a 10 million population. Run the numbers, people. No one in their right mind would pay attention to those numbers.
yeah.
We're paying attention because the media goes, oh, the horror, the families of these people. Well, please stop using raw numbers and let's put it in perspective. Yes,
Yeah.
100,000 people sounds horrific. You know how many people die every year in America? 3.5 million. And Donald Trump's going, oh my God, another 2,000 people died today. Please fucking wake up, people. You're being deceived.
It's interesting that you say this because I'm in Bali right now, and Bali's Indonesia is a much poorer country, and before that I was in India, and in both those countries nobody gave a fuck, dude. They were walking around like some people were wearing masks and stuff like that, but they were out and about like drinking, partying, stuff like that. And it's almost like people in America just have this like really like close sense of comfort that they demand, and as soon as there's a hint that it might get taken away, people just get terrified. Do you? Go ahead.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, this is a seasonal virus, so I'm afraid that Bali is in fact going to get hit harder.
Yeah.
Come summertime in Bali, which is, well, not long from now. But it's not going to be a big deal in any case. And in the meantime, the virus will disappear by mid-May from the Northern Hemisphere, virtually disappear. Now, government's going to say, see, lockdown saved us. Thank God Sweden did not fucking lock down, because we go, well, the Swedes in lockdown. Did God save them?
So I imagine you're are you in quarantine right now?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I've been in quarantine, serious quarantine, for over a month.
Where I know you're a bit of a nomad. Where in the world are you at right now? Or can you disclose that?
I can't possibly disclose that. We're on the run.
Okay. You're still on the run?
Still? Holy shit! Haven't you followed our
But
the past year?
We've
been on the run since January. We were thrown out of the Bahamas. Cuba government said America came and unofficially requested they send us back to America. Cuba said no, but they gave us 72 hours to leave the country. Went to the Dominican Republic, and we were arrested as we came into port. And they said, you got to go back to America. Now, this is America, right? Demanding me. It's not the Dominican Republic. Didn't even know I was coming, for fuck's sake. We went underground after we got out of jail 4 days later. We've been underground since.
Damn. So what are they trying to charge you with? Do they have any basis?
The IRS wants me for what they call tax evasion, because I refused to pay taxes for 10 years. I will never again pay taxes. It is unconstitutional. No, it's unconstitutional and illegal. I'm not fucking paying them anymore. Yeah. And I told them that. Now, for 8 years, they ignored me. But when I went on international stages telling people, you don't want to pay taxes, use privacy coins, distributed exchanges, you never have to pay another penny. Because the government can't possibly ever find out a penny that you've made or spent. As long as you buy everything with crypto, and as long as you work only for people who will pay you in crypto, or if you're a consultant, or take all of your money in crypto. So when I started saying that, that's when they came down on me. The SEC came down on me first. then the IRS. Now the SEC wants me again because I just built a distributed exchange without any know your customer or anti-money laundering. Not my job. Not
Yeah.
my job to try and police people. I'm offering a fucking service.
Yeah.
So
That's well, do you think at all that when you, I mean, in some ways you're taking some heavy hits by going out on Twitter and on international media saying, hey, don't pay taxes. Like on some level, I get the philosophical reason, but that does paint a target on your back, right?
well, listen, if you're not going to stand up for what you believe, then what the fuck is our purpose here, dude?
There you go.
That's my answer to that.
I like that. No, listen, I'm just asking a question. Like it's I think it's a noble endeavor.
It's
I
not
want
noble. It's not noble at all. I'm doing it for selfish reasons. I have children and grandchildren. I have children and grandchildren. I
Yeah,
want them to have a better world. All right. That's as selfish as it gets.
fair enough. If you were in quarantine, let's say you were back in your past life when you were in a house with 7 women in Belize, how do you think quarantine would have gone? Uh,
We've all murdered each other by now. If I had 7 women with me, in quarantine, that would have been a nightmare.
Why is that?
It was a nightmare without quarantine. It was a nightmare when I could escape whenever I wanted. No, Jesus, God, try it sometime. Even with 2.
Does more?
People think, oh, that's a dream. No, it's not. It's a nightmare. Trust me. Don't ever try it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's something I'll try to avoid. I don't think I'll have the opportunity, unlike John McAfee. But
You don't need to be John McAfee. You can trust me. The world is more mysterious and accommodating than you would ever dream. If that's what you want, you will get it. I promise you, my friend. But be very careful about what you pray for, what you want, because you will get it.
I wanted to ask you because you've had some experience with what people call like the deep state. Others might call it like New World Order or Illuminati. Do you have any thoughts on that? Is that stuff real?
I don't know what that actually means. Deep state Illuminati. I can tell you what the truth is.
Please.
Presidents have no power and have had no power since 1960. Um, let me tell you, the CIA runs America. Why? Well, first of all, they're all career patriots, and they are patriots, people. They are. Good God, they love America. Um, you know what they call presidents? Transients. Got a new transient coming in.
Whoa.
Well, and they control the transient. How? Because presidents and Congress as well, they're all transients. All politicians are transients. Um, the president and Congress are there for 4, 8 years, certainly presidents, 8 years max. They're career politicians, many of them. How many of them speak Farsi or Saudi or Saudi or Arabic? How many of them understand the nuances of political alliances, cultural histories, social and religious attitudes? No, they don't know jack shit. Whereas in the CIA, which is a lifetime job, you never quit the CIA. You join at 22, you're there until you die. In the CIA, there are CIA agents who speak 35 fucking languages fluently.
Right.
Now, what do you think they think of it? And they all understand everything about the nuances of the world. What attitude do you think they have to a president? An idiot, an ignoramus, which they all are compared to the CIA, comes into the office and expects to run this country? They ain't letting that happen. And they have not let that happen. How do they control presidents? Let's take the glaring example that we all know, Second Gulf War. CIA wanted Saddam out of power. They tried to assassinate him, didn't work. So they said, okay, somebody tell the president to bomb him. Now, they didn't just say go bomb him. No, you know what they said? Mr. President, please have a seat. We have some terrible news. We have just discovered with absolute certainty that Iraq has nuclear weapons, and they have ballistic missiles capable of reaching our closest ally, which is England. And Mr. President, we regret to tell you that we fear an attack is imminent on England. Now, Mr. President, we are not here to advise you. No, 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 no. That's not our job. That's not
Yeah.
our job. Only here to inform you. No, they're here to fucking control you.
Right.
What options did the president have? None. Now, we all knew, everybody knew they had no nuclear weapons. Europe knew, certainly all of the Middle East knew. The only people who didn't know were the president and Congress, who were briefed by the CIA. 6 hours later, the bombing started, and we bombed Iraq into the Stone Ages. That's how the CIA operates, either through truth or through lies or selective truth. Now,
I think. Sorry, go ahead.
Dwight, let me finish this. It's very important.
Please,
Dwight
yeah.
Eisenhower in 1960, when he left office, the last president with any power in America, and also the last president with any goddamn common sense, except for JFK, that warned us. He said, if you do not do something, the CIA and the military-industrial complex will steal America and all of your freedoms. But we did nothing, and they did. Now, the next president after Dwight Eisenhower, JFK, he was a smart motherfucker, and he goes, wait a minute, you motherfuckers are controlling me. So he announced, I'm disbanding the CIA, and I'm taking all of those departments. We're going to parcel them out with the other 14 covert agencies, like the NSA, Secret Service, the military covert agencies, and so on. Unfortunately, 2 weeks later, he had an accident, got shot in the head.
Right.
Right? Now, tell me that the CIA does not run America. Now, you want to call that the deep state? I don't care what you call it. The Illuminati? They probably are very illuminated. They are the smart. They are the smartest people on this planet, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Because they are the best trained, the most educated, and the most involved in what they think is best for this country. Problem is, what they think is best for the country, according to our Constitution, shouldn't make a rat's ass of difference. But unfortunately, they have. Go ahead.
So I wanted to ask you, and thank you for putting that out there, because I agree with what you said. It is important. This is totally unrelated, but I'm speeding along here just because I know we don't have a lot of time. Can I ask you? Did you have a falling out with Joe Rogan, or what's the status there?
Of course not. I like Joe.
Yeah.
I joke a lot, you know.
Yeah.
I said, why didn't you go on Joe Rogan? And so I said, here's the problem. We haven't spoken for years, ever since that incident in Bangkok where, he bought a goat to the sex party and refused to make it leave. And we had some very proper women there,
right.
2 dwarfs, all of them very clean, and he brings a fucking goat. So no, please, if you can't see that that's a joke, then I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's you. I'm just talking about people in general. No, I like Joe. It's not time to go on Joe. It's not time. Maybe before the election, provided I get the nomination of the Libertarian Party, which now that I've joined, by the way, I came in second in North Carolina. I wasn't even running in North Carolina. And for the Libertarian primaries, second. But now if and the reason is I'm handicapped because I'm in hiding. But now that I've joined forces with Adam Kokesh, who is a very active mofo and has an extraordinarily powerful campaign, I think one of us is going to get it. Absolutely.
I hope so. I mean, I'm certainly rooting for you, and I would love to see you on the Joe Rogan Experience. So when you say, like, obviously that's a joke, there are times when I can't quite, like, you're a very funny like you could have been a comic. I'm not just saying that, but there are things you say that like the having sex with blue whales. Is that real, or is that just fucking around?
Okay, let's use our heads. All right.
Please.
Humpback whales. Yeah, first of all, humpback whales weigh on the average 70,000 pounds. They average 50 feet long. They're powerful enough to crush small boats, and they can dive to a depth of 1,000 feet. Now, you find me someone who can convince that whale to have sex, and well, I will eat my shoe because it can't be done. Plus, they swim at 8 goddamn knots, right? Humans do, maybe at 2.5. That's a fast Olympic swimmer. So no, how do you catch one? Plus, the vagina is 40 feet below water. How do you get to it? Do you have a scuba gear? If so, then you're going to be no. It's not a possibility, not to my mind, which is why I chose it as a joke.
People took that seriously though. They were freaking out. Like this
Hey,
man is violating animals.
that's fine. That's fine. I mean, listen, my humor is dry, and I don't expect everybody to get it. And if people believe it, it ain't my fault. It's like
Right.
Bitcoin. Bet if Bitcoin doesn't reach $1 million, I'll eat my dick. Now, if you run the numbers, if it ever hit $1 million, then its market cap would be greater than the gross domestic product of the entire continent of North America. Nothing ever in history has been that large. So, and Bitcoin couldn't do it in 2 years. Second, Bitcoin was the first and most ancient of the blockchain technologies. It has no privacy whatsoever. You can't put a smart contract on that clunky ass blockchain. You can't put distributed apps on it. Fuck me, it's worthless.
Yeah.
So I said that because Bitcoin maximalists were always getting on my nerves. Yes, Bitcoin's going to go to 20,000, so it's going to be 25. I was going to go. If Bitcoin doesn't hit 100,000, I'll eat my dick. And one of my people said, someone might believe that. And I go, no. And I go, yeah, people are stupid, aren't they? They'll make it $1 million. And people still believed it. I can't help you people. I can't. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you can't see, if you can't use your head, if you can't, anybody who would run numbers, Bitcoin $1 million. Well, there's 21 million coins. Why don't you multiply those things together and see what kind of number you get? Greater than the gross national product of the entire continent. That's Mexico, America, Canada. Fuck. Nobody could ever be, nothing could ever be that big. An entire country is not that fucking big. So, no, obviously it can't
Yeah.
happen. And yet people go, oh, yes, yes.
Did you this I couldn't tell if this was a joke. Did you meet Bill Gates? I know he didn't confirm that the reason he made Microsoft was,
No, that's true. That's true. I did
you
meet Bill.
did.
Listen,
Okay.
I've been in this business for 50 years, all right? Well, 47. And I met Bill Gates just shortly after he founded Microsoft because I was working at a company called Logical Business Machines, and we were using Microsoft software. And I went up to negotiate pricing with he and his staff. It was a big, it was quite a few $1 million, which back then was a lot of money for Microsoft. Yeah, I met him once. Most boring man on the planet, That's all I can say.
That's it. What did you think about the whole Jeffrey Epstein scandal? Did that surprise you at all?
Well, of course not. Of course not. Neither did it surprise me that he killed himself, because he didn't kill himself, as we all know. He was killed by Nicholas Tartagliani, and everybody knows that has any common sense.
Wait, I didn't know that. Who's that?
His cellmate.
The original, the Jack dude that he was the former cop that he was paired up with. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy was nothing but muscle and serving and was in jail for multiple homicides. He'll never get out.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Look at, never mind. It's a long, involved story, but you wouldn't even have to be told that if you looked at the sequence of events. Yeah, so they moved Nicholas out of his cell 8 hours before Jeffrey hung himself. Now, so how could he kill him? Well, they put him back, snuck him back in. Why would they sneak him back in? Because if someone else had killed him, there would be DNA evidence, and you goddamn well know they would search for it everywhere, or they thought that might happen and find the killer. But they find his DNA. Of course, he was in that cell up until 8 hours before. Very clever architecture, but trivial to see through. But in any case, he did not kill himself.
And he, Alexander Acosta, who had originally given him what was like a lenient sentence when he first got caught, Jeffrey Epstein, said that the reason he gave him such a lenient sentence was because he was told he belonged to intelligence. I'm sure you're aware of all this, but do you think there's connection to CIA beside?
If he belonged to intelligence, none of us would know. Now, maybe the judge would know.
Sure.
I mean, if you're an intelligence agent, you go, hey, I'm with Mossad, or hey, I'm with this. Oh, Jesus God. It doesn't ever happen. That's the most closely guarded of all secrets. So we have time for one more question. We've gone a little bit over,
Please.
my friend.
Okay. Well, so listen, I mean, this is we've kind of gone over this, but I know you're a busy guy, so I want to keep this short. But people are scared right now, rightfully or wrongly. Do you have any message for people during these troubled times?
If you're scared, first of all, the people who are scared are the people your age, the younger kids, or people under 50. People my age, we don't get scared of jack shit. Our days are numbered anyway. Because you're 40? 40?
Me? No, I'm much younger. I'm 25.
Look at me, 25. Your beard. My apologies.
No, you're good.
20. Do you know your chances at 25, your chances of dying from this disease are 1 in 25 million? You have a greater chance of winning the lottery. No, please, look at the numbers. There's been one kid, a teenager, who died from it, and then they backed off from that and go, well, we're not entirely sure. And an infant. Everybody else is over the age of 60. And 90% are over the age of 70. You can't die from this. And yet people are scared. I'm going, can you not count any more people? Can you not read the numbers? I mean, just go on to the World Health Organization. Look who's dying. Nobody your age. One teenager.
Yeah.
One infant. And why are you scared? What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of getting sick? It's no worse than the goddamn flu in terms of the symptoms. Is that that's what's scaring you? Because you can't be harmed by it. Harm meaning I lost a thumb, or I died, or I went blind. No, you can't be harmed. You can't be harmed. You can be inconvenienced. You're going to be bedridden for a week or two. Are you that terrified of that, my friend?
I'm not.
Well, then who in their right mind would be? So for those who are afraid, tell them, wake the fuck up, please. It drives me crazy. Look at the numbers. Stop listening to the mainstream media who goes, oh, it's a horror. And look at the staggering numbers. Bullshit. There are no staggering numbers anywhere. None. So, and in terms of deaths, you can't. Your chance of winning the California lottery are greater than your chance of dying from this. These are the facts. No medical professional will deny it. Please ask any doctor. Say, hi, I'm 25. What are my chances? Well, from COVID-19? Impossible.
Yeah.
It can't happen. Not unless you're already dying. If you get hit by a bus and then you get the virus,
it's a wrap.
You die, but the virus didn't kill you. The fucking bus, all right? So, no, sir. What my advice is, wake up. If you're afraid, what the fuck are you afraid of? A 2-week illness? Because you ain't dying from it, I promise you. The 130,000 who have are all old people like me. Now, if you're my age, and if you are my age, you're not afraid of jack shit anyway. So I know you're not afraid. It's the young people who are afraid of what? Of what? Maybe losing your grandfather? Sure. I mean, that's one thing. Make sure he stays in. But why don't you go out and live your fucking lives? There is no danger for you out there, my friend. Ask any doctor in the world. They will. I just had a podcast with a doctor in California who said absolutely, and he's flabbergasted too. Why? people your age are afraid. You can't die from this. And if it's death that you're afraid of, the flu has 6 times the probability of killing you, my friend. 6 times.
Well, I think on that note, I'll let you go. Is there anything you want to plug before we leave?
Nothing other than wake up, please, people. You young kids, I want to reach through and strangle everybody. Cowards, you don't think for yourselves. You don't. You let the government and the mainstream media and the specialists think for you. Stop that. Stop it. You have a brain. You go back to your 3rd grade arithmetic. That's all you need. That's all you need. And you'll see there is no problem here. There never was a problem here. This is a power grab by somebody. I don't know who, but by somebody, I promise you. Bill Gates, the government, Google. Anyway,
Well,
thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much. Take care.
Bye-bye.